Hey guys, welcome back to OCD Recovery. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I want to do a video on contamination OCD and which was my primary theme, and I thought I would do like I'm going to do a series of videos on contamination OCD most likely. So because there are quite a few things that I wanted to just I thought I would talk about, and hopefully it'll help you guys. If you have been liking our videos, if you like this video, please press like on this video. It really helps with the algorithm and also just like getting our videos out there. And leave your comments, leave your feedbacks, let us know what you think, whether this helped, whether this did not help. And yeah, subscribe to the channel as well to stay updated with the videos that are posted on this channel regularly. So the one I wanted to do today is relatively a more straightforward one, and it won't have too many. It won't like have an in-depth analysis. It's more of a descriptive video, but I want to talk about the different types of contaminant. Sorry guys, I'm really fumbling on my words today, but I just had an orange. Maybe something to do with that. I don't know, but yeah, so I want to do a video on the types of contamination OCD that people suffer with. And the reason I wanted to do this video is because a lot of these different types they make people feel very alone in a way because they are not talked about enough sometimes. And they think that maybe either their fears are then real, or maybe they're just going crazy with obsessing over something like this. So that's how I wanted to highlight this, because obviously with all our in fact platforms and pages, not only do we want to provide people hope, but we also want people to know that they're not alone with whatever they're experiencing. So one of the primary aims of this video is exactly that, so that you can feel seen, that you're not going crazy in your own head. So the first one that I want to talk about is, I made my notes on my whiteboard today. I usually make them in my notebook, but yeah, I just thought this would be maybe easier. It's really nice to write so smoothly on a whiteboard. Anyway, I am digressing. So with the first one is obviously your typical, like your stereotypical, in fact, notion of what OCD is, which is associated with like cleaning and washing and organization and keeping things in order, keeping things in place, all that symmetry and all that kind of stuff. So, and usually there's no particular fear behind it as such. It's just this feeling of, this does not feel right, and this just does not look or feel good. I don't know, I have to maybe fix this, or I have to put it in the right order or in the right direction, or maybe I have to clean this very properly because there's too much dust on there, or maybe this is still, I don't know, dirty from back when. So so these are different ways where you are just obsessing over just keeping things just right and then feeling good in terms of how they look or how they're placed or stuff like that. And this veers towards like perfectionism with OCD, or like perfectionistic themes or perfectionist themes, either way, whatever you can call them. But yeah, obsessing over perfection, and that can, and like I said, there's no particular fear behind it, but it's just this uncomfortable like feeling of something being not the right way, and that uncomfortable feeling kind of keeps growing in you, and it kind of keeps festering, and you start getting frustrated and you just really want to do something about it. So but if you really look at it, that does correlate to a certain kind of fear, which is like a fear of, even if you don't want to call it a fear, it's a very strong aversion of towards feeling uncomfortable. So fear of, or feeling averse to that those uncomfortable sensations in your body by looking at something that does not look just right or feel just right. So allowing yourself to feel that discomfort and seeing that it won't kill you, it won't crumble the world around you, that's really important. And I'm not going to go into too much detail in this particular video, but I may do another video on all these different types maybe later on. But I just wanted to touch upon like the basic surface level details of how contaminant OCD can manifest. And this was the first one that I want to talk about. The second one I wanted to highlight is related to like an overlap with like health OCD, where you are afraid that your health might be affected, you might fall ill, or there might be a disease that you might go through. And this can relate to just this like fear of, oh my god, the pain or the discomfort is going to be so much, how am I going to deal with it? If I have cancer, oh my god, what will happen? It can also correlate to a fear of death, usually. Especially with during the pandemic with COVID, we've seen this a lot. There is this massive fear of passing it on to somebody else, and then therefore that fear that you will stay guilty for the rest of your life. So there's a lot of like guilt, shame, fear of responsibility, fear of carrying that burden for the rest of your life. And how am I going to cope? How am I going to stay happy for the rest of my life? I'm never going to stop thinking about this. I will always feel like I killed the other person. Those massive fears then come in, and you start to ruminate, and then you start to check, or you start to ask for reassurance. Did I pass this? Was I wearing a mask? Did we touch like each other, or something like that? Or like with health, and generally with like health OCD or like with diseases, you're also afraid of like certain maybe chemicals contaminating your food, or something like that. So yeah, and like I would say like an extension of this is also this fear of food poisoning, which I massively had, although it wasn't in relation to contamination OCD. It was just a general massive fear of getting food poisoning, and a massive fear of throwing up. So then you check your food, whether maybe any chemicals have contaminated it, or whether the meat has been left undercooked, or so you obsess about your food, whether someone put something in it or not, or you ask maybe people if they have like done it the right way. Did they put this in it? How did they steam it? Or those things. So it can carry on to the things that you consume in your body. Another one is on which I've seen a lot on the Facebook group as well, and even in the WhatsApp groups, is this fear of feces and or fecal matter or piss being like on your clothes or on you, and just spreading and spreading and spreading. And with this one, it's also tricky because I mean, every OCD fear feels real, but because obviously fecal matter and piss and stuff like that is just relegated to the toilet, people like it seems like, oh, but like my fear is completely logical and rational. Like that if I'm cleaning and if I am trying to keep everything squeaky clean, then I'm being logical and rational, because who wants fecal matter maybe in their bed, or who wants to have fecal matter on their hands, or maybe some element of pee on your face or in your food or any of those things. So and this can obviously relate to health OCD as well. There's that overlap as well, that oh my god, if that goes in me or in my body, then I will fall ill. So and there's like massive checking obviously with this. There's massive amounts of cleaning with this, constantly checking the toilet seat, or maybe checking the toilet paper or the dustbin, and thinking that, okay, first I touched the toilet paper, but then the toilet paper touched the seat, but then I sat on the seat and my leg was in my pajama. Oh, I threw my pajama on the bed, and oh my god, my bed. And then my sibling or my partner, they threw the pajama in the laundry. Then oh my god, the entire laundry is contaminated, the laundry basket is contaminated. So I not only have to wash the toilet seat, but I also have to wash my leg, my pajama. I have to change the bed sheets. I have to And oh my god, my partner or my sibling touched that, so their hand went who knows where else. So I have to make sure they wash their hands, or the doorknob is clean as well, and the laundry basket is clean, and the laundry is clean, and so obviously there is this entire domino effect that and when you start to think about it, you feel like your entire world is unraveling around you. It's completely out of your control, and that starts to like haunt you right there, and you feel completely helpless. You don't know where to even start, cleaning or whatever, or and sometimes, in fact, instead of cleaning, you might start to completely avoid as well. You might leave things unclean. And this is like generally with contamination OCD. This is not specific to fecal matter or pest drops or anything. It's just across the board with contamination OCD, where there's this domino effect of like there being this chain of events happening, and it starts to just really feel make you go mad, and or make you feel helpless or hopeless or alone, and you start to cry maybe. It's just not the best feeling. I mean, I've been through it, and it just completely ruins your entire day, or maybe in fact days do come as well, and you start to really feel down, and I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it's almost like someone is pulling your body down with like an anchor, like a ship's anchor is tied to your body, and it is just like making you sink, because it's just like everything around me is just like contaminated. I can't do anything about this. What do I do? So sorry, I mean, I think I have started to relive my haunted days as I was describing this, so I really went into it. But I mean, yeah, I know it's just like the most. Uh, you feel like your brain will explode, and you don't know what to do about it. So and by the way, fecal matter, like this fecal matter sub theme, can also be with your animals that you have at home as well. I recently spoke to someone, I think it was in the Facebook group, where they had a lot of animals around the house, and like their OCD was just ramping up and up and up, and like she didn't understand like how to deal with that. Then there is I mean, I don't know if there's like a formal term for this. What I like to call it is contamination by association. So this is where you might associate some bad feelings or bad memories or bad events or anything of that sort with people around you, or with places that you've been to. Sorry, and or just again, just certain events that have happened in your life. So with this, like for me, how this happened was that certain people that I really did not like, I did not want to touch them, I did not want to sit where they sat, and for me the domino effect was really really prevalent over there, and played a very vital insidious kind of role over there, where if someone I did not like had touched something, and then they had sat somewhere, and then another object had been in that place where they sat, and then like it just like spread till the point that I was just spending my entire days cornered in my bed, because that was the only surface that I felt like was not contaminated. In fact, there were days where my bed would also get contaminated, but then what I would do is instead of getting the bed sheets changed so that I don't look crazy, I would just spread like an extra sheet on top of my bed sheet and sleep on that, so that I mean, so I did that. So with that, there was, I mean, the fears can be like anything and everything, to be honest, but it can be just not just feeling right. It can also be, oh my god, if I touch that person or anything associated with them, then I will start to become like them. I don't want to be associated with them. There's obviously a lot of cleaning and washing over here as well, and because even though it's not related to health or disease or germs or any of those things or feces, but it's still, I mean, that's the only way your brain knows how to clean, or how to stay clean. Interestingly, for me, what happened was there was actual cleaning where I was washing my hands or like using maybe a sanitizer or any of those things. But the interesting part is over here. For me, cleaning objects were also on the contrary, like wait, let me get my words right. So things touched by people I did not like were like completely contaminated, or those people themselves were somehow just contaminated. And I felt like I was being contaminated by those people in a way. But on the flip side, there were also people that I extremely liked, or even loved, and not necessarily in a romantic way, that too, but also like even in a platonic way. And objects by them, or maybe like a clothing item they wore, that used to feel like a cleaning thing for me. I mean, I felt like that could help me cleanse myself or any other kind of surface. So initially I used to, for example, if I was washing my hands 50 times to get rid of that feeling of contamination by shaking hands with someone that I did not like. Instead of washing my hand, what I started to do was I started to rub my hand on a sweater or a t-shirt or something that either belonged to that friend or that person that I really admired, or if I had been to their house maybe, and for example, if I was wearing this hoodie when I went to their house, just by being in their house, this hoodie felt like it became, what do you call it? I mean, it became that holy object or that holy hoodie that I could use to clean. So then I wouldn't throw those clothes in the laundry. I would save them so that I could use those for compulsions to just rub my hand on that and just feel clean. So I went into that detail to just show you, like, in just the enormous amounts of varying ways that contamination OCD and compulsions related to contamination OCD and cleaning and washing can manifest as well. And this could also be, like, for example, just related to even not just a specific person, but also events that have happened in your life that maybe you don't have the best memories with. So, for example, if you were, let's say, you were in a cafe where you broke up with your ex, you might not go to that cafe because you feel like, I don't know, you just feel kind of icky going to that cafe, or or like you don't even like hearing that name of that cafe, and you don't want to say that name either, because just anything associated, even the thought of that cafe is just like really. And then, for example, if the theme of the cafe was orange, then you stop wearing orange clothes altogether yourself. Um, or generally the clothes that you were wearing that day, you stop wearing those clothes, or you stop wearing that color that you wore that day. So I mean, again, the possibilities of how this association happens in our mind and how our brain just makes those connections from one to another is are just like endless and enormous, and it makes you feel trapped in a corner, and you don't know what to do about it, you don't know how to deal with it, because everything seems to be connected to that person or event or place or any of those things. And this kind of contamination, I'm sorry, I'm just like, I don't know what's happening to my mouth. This kind of contamination OCD can also be a result of like an impactful event in your life, or even like a traumatic event in your life. So I did a separate video on trauma and OCD if you are interested in watching that, because and I explained like the entire connection between having a traumatic event and OCD. So like a traumatic event cannot cause your OCD particularly, because the OCD biological component or the genetic component is in you. The trauma can maybe kind of activate or trigger that gene in you, but it cannot cause or like give birth to OCD in you. At least for me, I can also say that for me, what happened was that um, um, I already, when I look back, I already had plenty of OCD tendencies already in my life. The traumatic event, what it just did was it just kind of amplified all those feelings. So, um, yeah, so again, there's a separate video on that, and you can, and I think I speak for like 20-25 minutes. So I went into like great length on that topic. So hopefully that helps. And the last part I want to touch on is, which was probably like my biggest problem. I mean, it became one of my biggest problems was mental and emotional contamination. So with mental and emotional contamination, they were like I was constantly trying to keep my thoughts clean or cleansed by not thinking of people or places or events that I associated badly with, because I felt like those thoughts in my head were contaminating me and contaminating and spreading across my body, and it was almost this kind of feeling of a disease, but more like, but like an, I don't know, some kind of philosophical or emotional mental kind of disease. I mean, not mental disease like OCD and other disorders, but what I mean is like it felt like that your, if I had to imagine it in a creative way, it felt like the thoughts I was having were rotten thoughts, and that rot was maybe spreading across my body because they were happening in my brain. So therefore, from my brain, those thoughts were somehow traveling down in my body through my nerves down to my feet, and I mean, it was kind of that. So, or even feelings wise as well. So I was constantly trying to escape or think of other things and not have any kind of emotions related to that. So constantly getting rid of, even with sadness, by the way, I felt like sadness, I think in some ways I felt like it was an emotional contamination for me. Any kind of this emotional discomfort I thought was going, if I let it be there, it's going to fester and it's going to spread. And instead of just feeling this heaviness over here in my chest, I will start to feel heavy in my arms and my legs and my thighs and my head, and it's going to just, I don't know, spread across in me. So, and I mean, it, that's why I say it's almost this kind of metaphorical kind of contamination that, or this abstract contamination that you start to feel is happening inside of you. So you stop doing things that make you feel any kind of emotional discomfort or any kind of mental discomfort, because you think that is going to spread. You start to stop thinking or feeling towards or about things that, or people or places or events that you associate badly with. And yeah, and then there's this entire cycle of mental compulsions, which, and mental checking and whatnot, which again I have done. Well, they are like, I haven't done. Well, actually, I have done one video on mental compulsions related to contamination OCD. It might be, I think, in the contamination OCD playlist on the channel. So you can watch that. And then there are other people on the channel who have done videos on mental checking and mental compulsions. Kirsty has done a couple of them. Rob has done them. Nick has done them. So you could definitely go in there. So. I think, yeah, that's what I mainly, those are the main things that I want to touch upon. And those are the, if I've missed any, well, you can maybe mention them of how you maybe experience them. Obviously, getting caught up in what particular theme or what particular detail there is of your contaminant OCD is not, I mean, that's not the central idea that you want to, that's very important, because I mean, the approach is still doing exposures and disputing and looking at, oh, well, what the thing that I'm afraid of, I mean, just really breaking that down and seeing that, okay, I mean, if this happens, what's my worst case scenario over here, and trying to work on acceptance of that worst case scenario. And again, doing lots of exposure. So for example, if you feel like, I mean, I don't know, the books in your shelf are completely disorganized, let them be disorganized, let yourself feel that discomfort and see that it's not completely killing you or making your world fall apart. If you have, if you've cleaned maybe if you've been to the hospital, for example, and if you've after that you've come and wash your hands once, don't do them over and over again. Just do them like once and that's it. Like even if you feel like, oh my god, I need to do more, I need to clean that, I need to clean that. Stop yourself from that. Stop yourself in your tracks and just recognize that you are about to fall into like another cycle of series of compulsions that is not going to end, no matter how much you do those compulsions. Um, Same for like food poisoning and undercooked meat. Actually, Jade did a video on, I think, unconditional life acceptance and unconditional self acceptance. She talked about her fear of undercooked meat in that. I think, and she words it so well. So I would really suggest you watching that. Even with like feces and like piss drops and stuff like that. Obviously, do the regular like washing and cleaning that one does in the toilet, but then don't particularly check again and again. Ask your sibling or partner or parent or whoever for, oh, did you touch this, did you do that? I mean, you have to really stop yourself at one point, because I mean, if this was really a logical fear, then every single human in the world would be living exactly that way, and that would in fact be suggested across like hospitals and doctors and the what it's called, the World Health Organization. Everybody would be saying, okay, check 10 times whether fecal matter was spread across your house, and do tests through, I don't know, UV light maybe, or something like that. It's something like out there. So um, yeah. So again, I mean, it's I'm cleaning. It's not like don't clean at all. Do the regular hand wash that one does. Do the regular thing that, like the regular or the normal thing one does. But you have to stop at just that. Like for example, with COVID, I think it was suggested that you wash your hands once or twice for 20 seconds. But going beyond that and just taking enormous extra measures and constantly cleaning and whatnot, that part was the compulsive part. Obviously, I'm just going into like a brief summary right now. I'll go into more details about all of this. But I mean, I just think that just highlighting this is important. And yeah, and with mental and emotional contamination, purposefully think of those things that make you feel mentally contaminated. Purposefully talk about those things, or touch those objects that you or those people or things of those people that you associate badly with, because all of that will slowly but surely start to put cracks in your in that fear that you are constantly carrying around all day, and help you start living your life and not just in this constant fear, this beastly fear of, oh my god, I'm just going to die now. um, and another last aspect that I do want to highlight is that I think perhaps contamination OCD, and maybe like that overlap with health OCD sometimes as well. um, yeah, I feel like this is probably the only uh, theme where the compulsions associated with this theme can actually also harm you. So, for example, if you are constantly cleaning with lots of chemicals, using lots of different kinds of chemicals or bleach and whatnot, it starts to erode your skin. It starts to make your nails or fingers brittle, or it starts to you start to in fact sometimes even feel sick because of that as well, by using so much chemicals constantly. Or even I think with fecal matter as well, like if you are constantly using toilet paper again and again, that kind of friction against the toilet paper can maybe cause you a bit of a scratch and might cause you a little bit of bleeding as well. Um, so that's also, I mean, apart from recovery, that's also one of the reasons where you have to be really careful with like stopping yourself and really working on it. I mean, it's incredibly difficult, I know. Wow, I think I just looked like I was having some kind of like I just got stuck in my own self in some way. Because I just had this thought and I thought, oh, I need to say this. But I know it's going to be incredibly difficult. It's not the most easy thing. It's easier said than done. Again, I know the amount of times people had to tell me or push me or motivate me to do exposures is, I can't even count that, because it was like so many numerous times, because I wouldn't do them. I couldn't do them. I couldn't even imagine myself doing them. So it's not going to be easy at first. It's not going to be a click. Oh my god! Now I feel completely fine, and now I'm going to do exposures. It's going to take time, and I'll do a separate video on exposures as well. So, but yeah, so you have to be careful with that, because especially with cleaning and washing and doing it repeatedly, especially with different kinds of chemicals or cleaning agents and whatnot, you might, in fact. Um, you might hurt your hands, or like even if you're washing your face constantly, it can erode your skin and really hurt you and all those things. So so please be careful, and start working on recovery. Just take that risk, let yourself feel uncomfortable. um, Long term benefits are just enormous for this. Anyway, how long? Oh my god, I have spoken. I have spoken for 30 minutes. I have spoken for 30 minutes. Um, yeah, I'll do another video on contamination OCD soon. And let me know if there are particular things you want me to cover, and I'll see if those are things that I can cover. So I'll put that in my list of topics to do for the channel. So take care, you guys. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.